You ever give everything to someone who made you feel like nothing? I did. 5 years of showing up, folding myself smaller, quieter, softer, just to be enough for a man who never even looked up long enough to see me bleeding. He said he loved me, said I was the one. But love doesn't sound like silence after a scream. Love doesn't hide hotel receipts in the pocket of gym shorts. No, love doesn't make you feel crazy for asking why he always smells like cologne he never wore for you. He was all charm and teeth. A man who knew exactly when to say sorry and exactly how to make me doubt my own reality. Every time I called out the lies, he spun them into fairy tales. Don't be dramatic. You're overthinking. Babe, you're just tired. No, I was exhausted. From carrying both of us while he made dinner plans with women who weren't me. He looked me in the eye and lied like it was love. And I clung to the scraps, trying to stitch together a future out of a man who never planned to stay. But the night I found that receipt, the timestamp, the hotel, the room for two, something snapped. I wasn't confused. I wasn't scared. I was done. Done being a placeholder in his perfect little illusion. Done shrinking so he could feel big. Done setting myself on fire to keep him warm. That night, I stopped being the woman who begged to be seen, and I became the woman who wouldn't be ignored. Hi, I'm Elena, and this is the story of how I stopped being his silence and became my own voice. Now I burn, but not for him. For me. It all started with a lie so small, it almost slipped past me, just another white excuse in a long line of them. I'm at the gym, babe, don't wait up. That's what he said when he kissed me on the cheek and left the apartment that night. I didn't think twice. I trusted him. For 5 years, I trusted him with my heart, my home, my future. But that night, everything cracked. Later that evening, while folding laundry, I found it, crumpled in the pocket of his jeans, a hotel receipt. 2 nights ago, 1 king bed, 2 guests. The timestamp was the same night he claimed he was hitting the weights at the gym. My hands trembled, the room spun, and something inside me, something naive and safe, broke. I held the receipt like it was a burning coal, scorching the last of my illusions. At first, I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was booking it for a friend? Maybe it was a mistake? But deep down, I already knew. My instincts had been whispering it for months, but I had silenced them with blind loyalty and fear. The sudden coldness in his touch. The random arguments. The gym becoming his sanctuary, always when I wasn't invited. The signs had been there, I just didn't want to see them. I sat there for hours, staring at that slip of paper. I remembered all the times I defended him when friends raised eyebrows. When my sister warned me, he seemed distant. I told them they were wrong. I believed in him, believed in us. And now all I could see was that paper, small and damning, like a dagger slid between my ribs. When he came home that night, he was glowing. Post-workout endorphins, he claimed. He kissed me, asked what was for dinner, showered like nothing. Was wrong. And I stood in the kitchen, pretending nothing had changed, all the while feeling the tremble in my knees and the bile in my throat. I wanted to scream, throw the receipt in his face, demand the truth. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the icy weight of betrayal settling in my chest, or maybe it was instinct. Because in that moment, I realized something important. If he had lied this easily, he had done it before. And if I confronted him now, he'd have an excuse. Ready. A cover story. He'd gaslight me, make me feel crazy. He'd flip it on me. He always did, so I didn't say a word. Not yet. I played the role. I cooked the damn dinner. I laughed at his stories. I even made love to him that night, though every touch felt foreign and repulsive. And while he slept beside me, snoring lightly with that stupid calm on his face, I stared at the ceiling and made a promise to myself. He thought he had me fooled. He thought he could keep lying, keep sneaking around, keep humiliating me behind my back. But he had no idea what was coming, because I was done playing the fool. I was done being lied to, walked over, and made small. And if he wanted to destroy what we had, I would let it burn, but on my terms. Not as a victim, but as the storm. This wasn't just going to be a breakup, it was going to be a reckoning. For the next few days, I watched him carefully, closely. Every word, every movement, every gym night. And suddenly, it was all so clear. The glances at his phone followed by half smiles, the way he angled his screen away from me. The sudden scent of expensive cologne he never used to wear, the late-night showers. The lies were so obvious now, I felt ashamed I hadn't seen them sooner. His betrayal wasn't spontaneous, it was methodical. I started piecing it all together. There had been signs, glaring ones, for at least 6 months. He'd started working out more, getting unusually possessive of his phone, and picking fights over the smallest things. He'd come home at odd hours, sometimes claiming the gym was really packed, other times that he'd had to stop and grab a smoothie. I had been so desperate to hold on to our life together, I ignored the inconsistencies. Then came the financial discrepancies. I checked our joint credit card statement, something I never used to do. He always handled the finances, always insisted I didn't need to worry about money. But there it was. Charges to restaurants we'd never been to together, Uber rides to unfamiliar hotels, and the final punch to the gut, a $300 jewelry purchase from a boutique I had never stepped foot in. I remember sitting in the living room. That day, the statement in my hands, a lump in my throat so tight I could barely breathe. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the betrayal of every layer of trust we'd built. The dinners I made, the birthdays I spent planning, the dreams we'd discussed about starting a family. All while he was building a second life behind my back. He didn't just cheat on me. He robbed me of time, energy, and love I could never get back. And the worst part? He was so casual about it. He looked me in the eye every day, said, "I love you," with a straight face. He even talked about future vacations, house renovations, as if we were still building something real. That's when it hit me. He didn't think I'd ever find out. Or maybe he thought I'd forgive him, just like that. After all, I had looked the other way for months. He thought I'd keep swallowing the lies, keep bending over backwards to make things work while he tore our relationship to shreds from the inside. But he had underestimated me. I wasn't going to cry on the bathroom floor and wait for him to come clean. I wasn't going to beg him to love me again. I was going to take every ounce of hurt and betrayal and weaponize it. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. This was about every woman who's ever been lied to, every person who's been gaslit into silence. This was about reclaiming my voice and showing him that the quiet ones, the trusting ones, we're not weak. We're just patient. And when we strike, it's not out of impulse. It's precise, deliberate, and unforgettable. So I started documenting everything, every lie, every text, every receipt, and I began to formulate a plan. But before I could move forward, I had to accept something painful. The man I loved didn't exist. He was a mask, a well-crafted illusion. And the person beneath that mask, he didn't deserve forgiveness. He didn't deserve me. He deserved to feel what it was like to be deceived. He deserved to lose. Because love shouldn't hurt like this. And I was done hurting. It's strange how betrayal doesn't just affect your heart. It taints everything. Your memories, your identity, your future. When I realized the full extent of what he'd done, it wasn't just about the lies anymore. It was about the years I had invested in someone who never had the decency to be honest. It was about the woman I had become, smaller, quieter, always compromising, just to keep the peace with a man who didn't respect me enough to be faithful. He had chipped away at me, piece by piece, until I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror. I'd given up so much for him. I passed on job opportunities in another city because he didn't want to move. I loaned him money when his business hit a rough patch, money I'll probably never see again. I gave up girls' nights, vacations with my family, all because he needed me by his side. And all the while, he was building something else with someone else, laughing in hotel rooms, sharing secrets, making memories with her. But what made it worse, what made my stomach churn, was that he didn't just lie to me. He built his new life using the foundation I had helped create. He used our shared bank account to take her out. He used my trust to cover his tracks. He took the life I thought we were building and used it as scaffolding for his deceit. And what if I hadn't found that receipt? What if I'd gone on, none the wiser, while he slowly replaced me? Would he have just waited until I was too invested, too dependent, too broken to walk away? I couldn't let that happen. I wouldn't be just another discarded partner tossed aside for something new and shiny. I had put my soul into this relationship, and he treated it like a temporary arrangement, one he could step out of the moment something more exciting came along. But this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice. Because women like me, we're always told to move on quietly. Don't cause drama, don't look bitter, just heal, just let it go. But why should I be the one left cleaning up the mess? Why should he get to walk away unscathed, with his dignity intact, while I'm left questioning my worth? No, there had to be consequences. This mattered because I mattered. Because trust should mean something. Commitment should mean something. And if he was going to turn our life into a lie, then I was going to make sure everyone saw the truth. I wasn't going to just expose him. I was going to dismantle the fantasy he built. Strip away the illusion. Show the world the man behind the mask, the coward who cheated, the manipulator who gaslit his way through a relationship. I began to realize something even more important. This wasn't just his betrayal. It was mine, too. Because I had betrayed myself, by staying silent, by excusing red flags, by choosing comfort over confrontation. But that ended now. I was reclaiming every part of me he tried to dim. My fire, my voice, my pride. The girl who ignored her. Gut, she was gone. What remained was a woman with purpose and a plan. Because this betrayal, this humiliation, it wasn't going to break me. It was going to rebuild me. And he was going to regret ever thinking I was someone he could play. I didn't want to act out of rage. No impulsive shouting matches or dramatic breakups. I wanted precision, control. If he was going to feel the weight of his decisions, it had to be undeniable. No wiggle room, no chances to twist the truth. I needed evidence, cold, clear, indisputable. So I started with what I had, the hotel receipt. I took a photo of it, front and back, and tucked it back into his jeans like I'd never touched it. If he noticed, he didn't say a word. That told me everything. He wasn't even hiding things carefully anymore. He was too comfortable, too confident. Good. That arrogance was going to be his downfall. Next, I synced his location sharing to my own phone using an old trick he once showed me. He'd done it to keep me safe when I traveled alone. Oh, the irony. Now I used it to see every move he made. The gym was rarely on the list. Hotels, unknown apartment buildings. One location popped up twice in a week, a condo on the other. Side of town. I wrote it down. I also started checking his phone when he was in the shower or asleep. He'd gotten sloppy, never changed his passcode from the day we met. I took screenshots of text threads with a woman named Sabrina buried under fake names and emojis. One message stood out. Last night was perfect, same time next week? There it was, the confirmation, the woman, the affair, the plan. But this wasn't just about catching him cheating, it was about tearing down the image he'd worked so hard to build. The charming boyfriend, the loyal partner, Mr. Reliable. I was going to peel back every layer in front of everyone who ever thought he walked on water. And I wasn't doing it alone. I contacted a friend of mine, Lena, who worked in digital marketing but had a background in cybersecurity. I told her everything. At first she was shocked, then she was furious. Within hours, she was helping me trace hidden Instagram accounts, encrypted chats, even deleted messages. She helped me piece together his digital footprint like a puzzle. What we found was worse than I imagined. This wasn't just one affair. There were at least 3 different women. One in another city, one at his gym, and one who apparently worked at the same company he did. He'd been living a double, maybe triple life, and I had the screenshots to prove it. Now it was time to think bigger. I decided to document everything, building a digital folder, complete with timelines, photos, screenshots, credit card statements. I backed it all up to the cloud under a private name, insurance. He wasn't going to wiggle out of this. But I didn't want to just end it privately. I wanted him to feel exposed, vulnerable, helpless, the way he made me feel. So I planned a confrontation that would leave no room for denial. one where everyone could see the truth. His birthday was coming up. He'd planned a dinner party at a trendy downtown rooftop restaurant. Friends, colleagues, some family, the perfect audience. He'd already asked me to help organize it, and I said yes, smiling sweetly the whole time. He had no idea that this party would be the stage for his unmasking. I'd make a toast, one he'd never forget. But it wouldn't be with compliments or inside jokes. It would be with screenshots and receipts, with dates, names, and messages, with the cold, hard truth. He thought I'd cry in the corner, but instead I was going to stand in the spotlight. And when I was done, there wouldn't be a single person in that room who saw him the same way again. With the plan in place, execution became everything. I couldn't afford mistakes. I couldn't let emotions cloud my strategy. Every move had to be calculated, methodical. And I knew I wasn't just planning this for me. I was doing this for every person who's been made to feel invisible, discarded, or replaced without so much as an explanation. Step 1 was airtight documentation. I had to ensure that nothing could be denied. Every screenshot was dated and labeled. I downloaded backups of text messages and emails using data recovery tools Lena recommended. Some of the conversations he thought were gone, we pulled straight from the ether. Pictures of him holding hands with another woman at a parking lot. A dinner reservation in a different city. Notes in his calendar disguised as client meetings, all of which matched the messages from his secret chats. This was no accident. He had a system for cheating. I had a system for catching him. Step 2 was protecting myself. I quietly opened a new bank account in my name only, transferred a portion of our joint funds, nothing drastic, just enough for a legal retainer and a financial cushion. I also printed and saved all records of any money I'd loaned him, complete with dates and amounts. I knew I might have to fight for what was mine. I contacted a lawyer, not to file anything yet, but to understand my rights. I learned exactly what I needed if things went legal. Financial proof of infidelity, misuse of shared funds, and any evidence of deception that could impact spousal support or joint assets. I gathered every piece of it, quietly, carefully. Step 3 was exposure preparation. The confrontation couldn't be messy. I needed clarity and control. I wrote my speech, not a rant, not a sob story. Just the facts, cold, clean, devastating. I practiced it in the mirror, rehearsed my tone. No tears, no shaking hands, just calm truth, laid bare in front of witnesses. I also looped in 2 of my closest friends, people I trusted with my life. I gave them access to the digital folder, told them the plan, and had them ready to record the confrontation if necessary. Not for social media drama, but in case he tried to spin a different narrative afterward. I wasn't going to let him gaslight me ever again. There was one more thing I had to do before the night of reckoning. I visited the condo he'd gone to multiple times, the one from the GPS tracking. I sat in my car, parked a street over, waiting. It didn't take long. He arrived with her, tall, confident, unaware. They laughed, kissed, went inside. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just took pictures, time-stamped, clear. That was the final confirmation, the last nail. Then came the birthday party. I arrived early, made sure everything was perfect. The table settings, the wine, the little gold candles he'd insisted on. He walked in beaming, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Everyone was smiling, clinking glasses, singing toasts. He held my hand in front of everyone like nothing was wrong. He had no idea he was standing on a trapdoor. And I was holding the lever. Because when I stood up to make that toast, I wasn't just exposing a liar. I was reclaiming my voice. And in that moment, I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't mourning the relationship. I was preparing to bury it, truthfully, righteously, and without apology. The clinking of glasses faded into a hush as I stood at the head of the table. Dozens of eyes were on me, friends, co-workers, family, members, people who had believed in us as a couple, who had no idea they were about to witness the unraveling of a man's perfect little illusion. He sat across from me, smiling, oblivious. "Babe, say something sweet," he teased, holding up his wine glass. I smiled back. "Oh, I will." I took a breath, steadying my voice. Before I make a toast, I began, I want to share a little story. A story about a man who told his partner he was going to the gym. His smile faltered slightly, a twitch in his brow. But instead, he checked into the Madison Suites on 3 separate occasions, each time with a different woman. The room went silent. I pulled my phone from my clutch and tapped a folder titled Truth. A photo of the hotel receipt filled the screen. I turned it to the table. A ripple of murmurs spread through the guests. He stared at me, his face draining of color. Let's not stop there, I continued, voice unwavering. He told her he had a business meeting, that he was exhausted, that he needed space. Meanwhile, he was texting Sabrina, or Tanya, or Lila. Take your pick. I tapped through the screenshots. One by one, I passed the phone down the table, letting everyone see messages, photos, reservations, GPS timestamps, the picture of him outside the condo with one of every detail, every lie. He stood up suddenly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. This isn't the time or place. No, I cut him off, my voice sharp and clear. This is exactly the time, and it's exactly the place. You built your little fantasy world surrounded by people who thought they knew you. It's only fair they see who you really are. His mouth opened, then shut. There was no spin, no deflection. I had stripped away every layer of defense. The truth was standing naked before everyone, and there was nowhere for him to hide. One of his friends, a guy I'd always suspected knew something, shook his head and stood to leave. Another guest followed, then another. The birthday party dissolved into uncomfortable silence as guests gathered their things, shooting him disgusted or pitiful glances. Still, he stood frozen. I walked over and placed the printed hotel receipt on the table beside his untouched plate. You lied to me, you stole from our future, and you disrespected every promise we ever made. He looked like he wanted to speak, but I wasn't finished. I've spoken to a lawyer. You'll be hearing from them soon. I've already moved most of what's mine into a separate account. Don't try to touch anything. I have proof of every withdrawal you made for your side affairs. I picked up my purse, turned to face the few remaining guests. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening, if you still want to. And with that, I walked out of the restaurant. Head high, shoulders back, the air outside felt different, lighter, like I had peeled off a layer of shame that didn't belong to me. That night wasn't just the end of our relationship, it was the rebirth of myself. In the weeks that followed, he tried to do damage control. He sent texts, long emails, begged for a second chance, claimed it was a mistake, that he was lost. But the truth had already done its work. His reputation took a hit, both professionally and socially. People distanced themselves. Women who had once flirted with him now saw him for what he was, a liar and a coward. As for me, I thrived. I moved into a new place, reconnected with friends I'd drifted from, and started working with a women's support group to help others navigate betrayal and emotional abuse. I even landed a better job, one I never would have considered before. Turns out, freedom tastes a lot like self-worth. He said he was at the gym, but I found the hotel receipt. And that simple piece of paper became the match that lit a fire that burned away the lies, a fire that illuminated the truth, a fire that reminded me exactly who I am and what I deserve. And in the end, it wasn't just revenge. It was justice. It was karma. And it was mine.